What are some negative traits VTubers may not notice they may have with regards to streaming?
Ah, nice try. Nice try. Nice try. You think I'm gonna give an answer to this? You think I'm gonna give an answer to this? And set Twitter on fire. Nope, nope, nope. Nice try. Get your clip. That's right. You can't get your clip. You can't clip chimp me. You can't clip and ship it. I'm trying to think of a real answer to this. I don't know how to answer this. Asking for improvement. Okay. Okay. That's about, yeah. I was trying to rephrase the negative traits thing because I know what you're trying to say. I do know what you're trying to say. Okay. I'm gathering my thoughts. Pitfalls. I am thinking of answers in my mind, and all of them are subjective, to be honest. So maybe I'll start with this, which is, yeah, here are points to reflect on that are neither, that I think will steer you in the right direction. With a big caveat, you can take it or leave it, but like this is the one thing I would just implant on anybody I meet. Advice you hear from someone is usually advice they would give to their past self. I forgot why I heard this, so I'm ripping it off someone else, but I think about that constantly, which is if you hear advice from someone, they're usually giving it, it's best to look at it as they're giving it to themselves in the past, right? So it could be valuable. It could be, you know, there's probably some truth to it, but always, you know, like someone said, you use this in the context of all in which you live and
of all in which you
came
live
before you.
And what came before
so that's
you.
also good to keep in mind, but just keep in mind the context that someone gives. So the context, let me give you the context in which I live in is I don't stream probably like other VTubers. Every stream takes a lot of time for me to set up. I like doing that. I don't do like debuts or 3D outfits or concerts. I think those things are awesome. I just don't do them, right? So these are things to keep in mind, right? I'm trying to think of like some universal truths here. If I could just shake someone and tell them to do something, I would say, and Jam's Virtual in the chat has a really good video about this, which is you just gotta rip and ship.
Do you have any advice for someone who wants to start VTubing?
Just start VTubing. Start VTubing this week.
But I can't buy a good VTuber model for at least 5 months.
My honest advice is don't spend any money and just go live as soon as you can. Here, I'll demonstrate for you. So there's two paths for you, right? You spend a bunch of money for an artist to make your dream model. You buy a bunch of assets. You might even buy a really expensive microphone. And then what'll happen? Your debut will suck. Everything will break. It'll feel bad. And you'll be like, oh my God, I suck at this. You made the stakes way too high. Now, what I suggest, you make a PNG tuber and you get everything for free today, and then tomorrow you stream to the exact same amount of people. Things will break, but then as you stream, you figure out how to fix those. You'll only spend money if you like have to. You figure out what your audience likes. You figure out what you like. In that same amount of time, you'll have so much more experience. And then at any time, if you hate VTubing, you can just quit because you didn't spend that much money on it. Always start small and build up with anything.
I do think this culture around debuts, reveals, and hype can lend itself to a negative situation in which you spend too much time planning and not enough time doing or revealing something. I do like the Ironmouse rant she went on where she was like, stop thinking about your debut.
It is what it is. I feel like just stream, man. Who the fuck cares about a debut? You don't need to have a debut, you know. You could always do it later. I did. I never had a debut when I started. I just started streaming. You know, my first debut ever was when I debuted season 2. And that was the first debut I've ever had. February 2021. And it doesn't matter if there's 1 person, 0 people, 100 people, whatever the fuck people. I'm here because I want to be here and I want to hang out. And whoever wants to hang out with me, come and hang out with me. It's great.
I never had a debut and I'm fucking Ironmouse. Like that was the implicit thing at the end of the sentence. She didn't say it, but she was like, I never had a debut, just start streaming. But implicitly, she's like, I'm fucking Ironmouse and I never had a debut, right? And I think that's totally good. I think that's good. Because think about it this way, like, this is something that I learned from job stuff. I work in tech, which is your users don't remember when you launch your product. Like, no one gives a fuck. No one cares. Like, when did Facebook launch? If you care about Facebook, I mean, that was the example given when everyone liked Facebook. But like, when did your favorite app launch? I don't know, nor do you. You don't know, nor do you care. Like, I'm gonna go out on a limb and just say that. But what matters is you get your thing out there first. You learn what works and what doesn't work, and then when you have traction, you know, when you have what you feel like is something that's working for you, like sustainably, and you feel good and comfortable about it, then you can do the big thing, right? Like, in my opinion, right, I remember Ironmouse's outfits that she debuted years after she started streaming, more so than her initial debut, right? I remember, like, the only debuts you really remember, and I think this is why there's some added cultural weight around it, is people remember like the corporation debuts because they're really important in that space. But if you look at the math, like 99% of VTubers are not in corporations. So technically all the stuff they do are not very applicable. It's like a completely different situation. And so there's no like, sure, like it's a lot of stuff to follow, but like, you know, math experience wise, it's like not the same. So yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the one thing. I don't want to get into too much stuff. I think the one negative trait that you could fall into, or something to reflect on, is especially in streaming and especially when you post stuff on the internet, there's so much noise and there's so much stuff that's going out every day that putting what you think sometimes is your best foot forward and waiting, or putting what you think is like years and years of planning out there, can sometimes get immediately lost in the noise. It's better to just like do a little bit here and there and see what works and see what doesn't, because a part of the learning experience is not just like, how do I make the best thing that I can put out? It's I'll just frankly say the algorithm will react to it. When I say the algorithm, I really mean the way that communities and people will react to it. The algorithm just reflects their preferences, but you really have to understand, like, what am I putting out and how will people react to it? Because if you spend too much time planning and thinking about it, you're going to end up making way too many assumptions about how people will perceive it. And those assumptions may be right or wrong. You could be like, oh, I'm getting this background, I'm getting this song, and it has to work this way. Then you are adding way too many like if statements for something to be true. And that's like not a good situation to be in. Okay. There. Long answer. Hopefully good answer. We're actually, I'm speeding through this. I'm speeding through this because like near the end, you guys are just asking if I'm pregnant or not.